Ever get that feeling, you know, like when you stumble onto something ancient and mysterious?
Oh, yeah.
That's the Voynich Manuscript in a nutshell.
Right.
It's this 15th century codex just sitting there in Yale's library, practically daring you to decipher it.
It's
A real head scratcher, this one.
truly is the ultimate unsolved mystery, isn't it? I mean, a book written in a script nobody can understand, and then on top of that, you've got these illustrations, these pictures you can't even explain.
So we're talking about like a book that's baffled everyone who's looked at it, from historians to even get this World War II code breakers.
Yeah.
So that's a serious, track record of leaving people stumped.
Yeah.
So before we even get to like the theories about what it might say, walk us through what we're actually looking at.
Okay, so picture this, okay? A book about the size of a paperback.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe 240 pages or so. And it's parchment.
Okay.
And every single page is covered in this incredibly detailed script. And it's totally unique.
Okay.
Nobody's ever seen it before.
And it's not just the writing that's throwing people off, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there are pictures too, aren't there?
Oh, yeah. And if that wasn't intriguing enough, you've got these illustrations scattered throughout the manuscript.
Okay.
And it's everything from these bizarre plants to what look like celestial charts, even figures of bathing women.
Bathing women, that took a turn.
Right.
Okay, so those illustrations, though, especially the plants, those have really fueled a lot of the theories, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely.
Because we're not talking about like your typical daisies and daffodils here.
No, not your typical garden variety at all. Some of these plants look like they're straight out of a botanist's weirdest dreams.
Yeah. Almost alien.
Yeah.
And the detail is incredible, which is actually one of the reasons why so many researchers have a hard time believing that the whole thing's a hoax.
Right.
I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah.
The amount of botanical knowledge that somebody would need to have back then in the 15th century to fake those drawings, it would be like,
Right.
it would be mind-blowing.
So let's say for a moment that it's not a hoax.
Okay.
What are some of the leading theories about what this script actually is?
Right.
Is it a code? Is it some lost language? Is it an alien shopping list? Like, what are we even looking at?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
Some people think it's a cipher,
Okay.
a really carefully crafted code designed to protect some kind of secret knowledge. Others think it could be an extinct language.
Yeah.
Something that's been lost to time completely.
Right.
Possibly even some early form of a Romance language that's just completely gone.
Okay, so plenty of mysteries surrounding the words themselves.
Yeah.
But before we even dive deeper into that, let's talk about the Voynich Manuscript's own journey through time.
Okay.
Like, where did this book even come from?
So now that is a tale almost as tangled as the script itself.
Okay.
The earliest we can trace it back is to the court of Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II.
Okay.
Now, he was a known collector of rare books and just curiosities. And apparently he bought the manuscript for a small fortune because he was convinced it was the work of the 13th century scholar Roger Bacon.
Roger Bacon, huh? That's a name that carries some weight,
Oh, yeah.
especially in certain circles.
Oh, absolutely. Bacon was known for, his pursuit of knowledge, his experiments in what some might call natural magic.
You're right.
So it's no surprise that his name got attached to the manuscript.
Okay.
But there's a hitch.
What's that?
The paper used in the book,
Right.
we can date it back to the 15th century,
Okay.
which is long after Bacon's time.
Right.
So unless we're dealing with some serious time travel shenanigans here,
Right.
it seems unlikely that he actually wrote it.
Okay, so maybe not a direct line to Roger Bacon, but still,
Yeah.
owning a book that you believe to be his says something about your interests. Right?
Oh, absolutely. It tells you that Rudolph II was interested in, shall we say, the less conventional side of knowledge.
Right.
And it seems that interest in the esoteric was shared by a lot of the manuscript's early owners.
It makes you wonder if that's how he even ended up with it.
It's true. We even have records that suggest it was owned by John Dee.
Wait, John Dee?
Yes, John Dee, advisor to Queen Elizabeth I,
The guy who claimed he could talk to angels.
the one and only.
Okay, things just got interesting.
Right.
This just got real.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. John Dee was a fascinating guy.
Okay, you can't just drop an angel-talking advisor into the conversation and expect me to move on.
Right.
Like, this guy sounds like a character out of a Dan Brown novel.
I know, right? But it's true. And the fact that he might have even just owned the manuscript at some point, it just adds another layer to the mystery, doesn't it?
It really does. It makes you wonder, did Dee himself ever try to figure out what the Voynich Manuscript said? I mean, this was a renowned scholar.
Right.
Did he leave any clues behind in his own writing?
That's the thing that's so frustrating about this whole thing. Dee was meticulous.
Right.
He documented everything, and yet nowhere in his diaries, nowhere in his papers, does he mention the manuscript even once.
Really?
Not that we've found, at least. It was this weird little whisper in his life.
Huh.
Heard but never grasped.
So we've got this mysterious book,
Yeah.
potentially written by a 13th century alchemist, owned by an emperor, whispered about in the halls of some, angel-talking dude.
Mm-hmm.
Can we at least get into what's actually in this thing? Like, what about those illustrations, for example?
Yeah.
What's the deal with all those plants?
The illustrations. They're really a huge part of what makes the Voynich Manuscript so fascinating.
Right.
But visually and, in terms of all the theories they've sparked.
Yeah.
The plants are the most famous, of course.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't look like any species we know, which has led some people to believe that the whole thing might be a lost herbal,
Okay.
like a record of ancient botanical knowledge.
So, like some medieval gardener, centuries ahead of their time, writing all their secrets down.
Right.
I mean, is there any evidence for that?
It's a nice thought, isn't it?
It is.
And while there's no, smoking gun, the detail in the illustrations is really interesting.
Okay.
I mean, some researchers have pointed out that certain pictures seem to show different stages of plant growth
Oh, wow.
with, almost scientific accuracy.
Right.
Which, if it's true, would mean that whoever drew these things really knew their botany.
Okay, so maybe not just some random doodles.
Exactly. And it's not just the plants that are stirring up controversy.
Right, because there were those astronomical diagrams, too.
Yes.
Like star charts that would make Galileo do a double take.
Exactly.
What's the prevailing theory on those? I mean, are we looking at maps of the cosmos here, or alien constellations?
It's tough to say for sure, but some researchers think they might show constellations that we don't even know about anymore.
Wow.
Like maybe the manuscript reflects astronomical knowledge or beliefs that have been totally lost over time.
Yeah, it's kind of cool and creepy at the same time.
It really is.
What if we're looking at a way of understanding the universe that's just gone?
Right. And it really makes you think about how little we might actually know.
It does.
And it speaks to the power of something like the Voynich Manuscript,
Mm-hmm.
to make us question our assumptions about history and our place in the world.
Yeah. So we've got these mysterious plant star charts that might predate Galileo. Oh, and we can't forget about those bathing beauties.
Right.
What's the story with those illustrations? They seem a little out of place, even for a book this weird.
Yeah, the bathing women have definitely sparked some of the wildest theories.
Like what?
Well, some people think they're connected to some kind of ritual practices,
Okay.
maybe even early forms of hydrotherapy.
Hydrotherapy in the 15th century. That's pretty ahead of its time.
I know, right?
Do we have any clues about who actually drew these illustrations? Was it the same person who wrote the text?
That's another mystery. The illustrations are so well done, so detailed. It's hard to imagine they weren't created by a skilled artist.
Mm-hmm.
But whether that artist also wrote the words or even if they knew what they were drawing is anyone's guess.
It's like a giant historical game of exquisite corpse or something.
Right.
So after all this research, all this speculation, have we made any progress in actually cracking the Voynich code?
Well, we've learned a lot. I mean, we can date the materials now. We've analyzed the ink and we've studied how the language is structured, even if we can't understand the words themselves.
Right.
And every new little piece of information gets us a little closer to figuring out where this thing came from and what it might mean.
Like piecing together a puzzle without the picture on the box.
Exactly. And we found some really interesting connections along the way. For example, the way the script is structured, it's got some similarities to natural languages,
Okay.
which means it's probably not just a random bunch of symbols.
Right.
There's actual syntax patterns, like there's a method to the madness.
Okay, so maybe not an alien shopping list then.
Probably not.
But if it's that complex, it makes you wonder if it was designed to be hard to decipher on purpose. Like, was someone trying to hide something?
That question has been driving scholars crazy for centuries. And while we can't say for sure the complexity of the script and the illustrations, definitely makes it seem like there was a deliberate attempt to keep the information secret. But from whom and why? Those are the million-dollar questions.
Yeah, who knows what secrets this book might hold, or what we might learn if we ever figure out how to read it.
That's the beauty of it, isn't it?
It really is. It reminds us that there are still mysteries out there just waiting to be solved.
Exactly. And in a way that's just as important as deciphering the manuscript itself.
So the Voynich Manuscript reminds us to embrace the unknown
To never stop questioning.
And to always keep searching for answers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe one day someone listening to this will be the one to finally crack the code.
That would be incredible. Well, until then, I guess we'll just have to keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep marveling at the enigma that is the Voynich Manuscript.
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe the channel. Please share your feedbacks and thoughts through comments.